Okay, so for this video, I want to deal with figuring out the nearest enemy, and once the nearest enemy is determined, I want to figure out how to get the nearest enemy to attack what instead of having all the enemies attack. So first, I'm going to make sure that I need to create a tag first, and it's going to be called enemy. And with the skeleton selected, I'm going to add the enemy tag to it, and I'm going to make a multiple copies and just spread them out into this little area here. So I'll just put 5 for now. So if I go into the player script, in the first I need to create some variables. I'll just call it nearest enemy, and first is public game object all enemies, public game object nearest enemy, float, a float called distance, and a float called nearest distance. And I'm going to set that something really high to 10,000. These brackets here, I believe that means it refers to like an array or like a list of like object types. So I want to go down to the update function, and in the update function I'm going to create a nearest enemy section, and under here, here's this is going to be the script. So all enemies equals game object find game object with tag, and in brackets I'm going to do enemy find for int I equals 0, colon, semicolon, I smaller than all enemies dot length, and I plus plus. So I'm not exactly sure what all this means, but this is how it's done basically. So inside here, I'm going to do distance equals vector 3 dot distance transform dot position, comma, all enemies bracket I dot transform dot position. So I believe what's going on here is that it's getting the distance of between the player and all enemies, like within this array with this bracket I think this bracket represents like all the enemies in the array, and the I represents the number. So if there's like 5, then there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Under here, I'm going if distance is smaller than the nearest distance, which by default is 10,000, then nearest enemy equals all enemies I. So um, whatever enemy is being talked about at any moment. So, and after that, nearest distance equals distance. I need to do a coroutine. We do reset nearest distance. And I'm going to do I enumerator reset nearest distance yield return new wait 4 seconds, and we'll do 0.2, and nearest distance is going to get set back to 10,000. The reason why I'm doing this is if the nearest enemy happens to be just say like 1 unit away, if it gets really close, and the character just say the player character moves away, then all of a sudden the closest enemy could be a different enemy, but that new enemy will never be reset because its distance is being compared to the 1 unit, the first enemy. So it constantly needs to be reset to 10,000 to have a bigger number to compare to. Otherwise, it's not going to reset unless it will only get reset if the second enemy is like less than 1 unit away, which is there's a certain level of like unlikeliness that that's going to happen. Okay, I think I made one little mistake. It's not compiling because this one's on an array. So that should be fixed, and I'm going to move this start quarantine into this condition. So I'm going to erase this. Okay, and I'm going to compile. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on main character and scroll down to the script. And at the bottom of the script, I have a couple fields here. Nearest enemy, and right above it, it's all enemies. So when I hit play, all that information is going to update. So it's going to show me a list, and at the bottom it's going to state out of the list which one's the closest. There we go. So as you can see, it says 1, 2, 3, 4, but as I move around, it says like this very last one, it's going to change numbers as as the nearest enemy changes. Okay, so that's so now that that's working, I need to use that to tell the skeleton which one can attack first. Okay, so I'm going to go into the skeleton script, and I'm going to, at the very bottom, I'm going to create a public. First, I need to create a variable, which is a boolean called is nearest enemy. By default, I'll say false. At the bottom here, I'll say public void nearest enemy check, and inside here I'm going to put nearest enemy check. So this is going to be triggered outside. Game object. So if this game object equals nearest enemy check, then is nearest enemy is equal to true. We have too many brackets here. And let's copy and paste this. Else if this game object is not equal nearest enemy check, then is nearest enemy is false. So I need a way to trigger this. What I was missing is this bracket here. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to compile that, and in the player, in this function I need to do nearest let's copy and paste this. So I'm going to change this to nearest enemy. So the nearest enemy, I'm going to get access to the skeleton script, and I'm trying to trigger nearest enemy check. And I'm going to feed in the nearest enemy, and this nearest enemy object is going to be set to this nearest enemy check object. Okay, so I have to make a second video. The first one was running too long. So last video, I set the nearest enemy in the. Oh, sorry. I was checking to see if in the skeleton script, if this skeleton is the nearest enemy. So if nearest enemy is true, then all this stuff can happen where he's moving towards. So if is nearest enemy equals true, then all the stuff that I did before applies. Where he runs to the player when he's greater than 10 units away, when he's smaller than 10 but greater than 1.5, then he starts to walk, and then when he's smaller than 1.5, then he stops and he starts to attack. So I need to do one if it's false, if this condition is false. So else if is nearest enemy equals false, it's basically I want to cut and paste this and just actually this needs to be here. Move it up. You know what I did wrong? I need to get rid of this and put this here. So if else if, so anything in here I'm just going to copy and paste, but I'm just going to change the values. So if it's not the nearest enemy, if it's greater than 10 units away, then it can do whatever it was doing. But if it's greater than, I'll say 5, and smaller than 10, it'll start to walk. Once it's smaller or equal to 5, speed is going to be 0, and speed is going to, or the it's going to be the idle animation, but none of the attack stuff is going to happen. So I'm going to erase all this, and I'm going to compile that. Actually, a couple things I need to change that I realized is I need to cancel this out. Instead of doing it here, I'm going to do it outside of this if condition. I'm going to do it right here, and I'm going to change it to all enemies. So if there's 5 enemies, it's going to go through each and every one of those. I think that's what this I is in this bracket. So if it goes through skeleton 1, then it's going to go to the script and trigger nearest enemy and set the nearest enemy check. And another thing I need to change, I forgot, these 2 dashes means or. I don't need an or, I need a does not equal. So I'm going to compile both of these. If I go and hit play, should be all learned to me, and then only some of them, 2 of them come to me and the other 3 stay behind. It should only be 1, but I'm not sure why it's doing that. But if I go over here, so there's 1, and the other ones are slowly coming to me, so they can't decide what it's doing. So I don't know why. Maybe if I go all the way over here. Okay, so there's a defect in my script. While one of them starts coming to me, the other ones start off idle, but they slowly can't decide. There's something going on with my script. So here, the 3 stay back, and then the 2 come. So my script sort of works. It's not perfect. I gotta figure out what it is, but that's fine. I'm just gonna leave it as it is for now. Next video, I want to do some player attacks. So the player punches and destroys the skeleton. So that'll be the next video. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Okay, I want to revisit my my nearest enemy script, because if I hit play, sometimes it actually usually it doesn't work perfectly. Instead of having one enemy come up to me, sometimes it'll be like more than one, like 2 or 3. So if I play now, there's one, and then like there's the second one that's kind of jittery. When what I really want is I just want one of them to move up to me. So I think the defect has to do with the fact that so the way I have it is in the player script, I calculate the nearest enemy, and then from here I trigger a function in the skeleton script. But it's in the skeleton script that has this comparison. It checks to see if this condition is met. If this skeleton is the nearest enemy. Instead of, I think the problem is basically the fact that comparison is done in the skeleton script. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this condition check inside of the player script instead. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to I want to copy and paste this, and I'm going to put I'm going to change the name to is nearest enemy, and then here is going to be nothing, and this one's going to be called is not nearest enemy, and there's going to be no variables. So basically, what's happening is if this function is triggered, then is nearest enemy set to true. However, if this one is triggered, is not nearest enemy, then is nearest enemy boolean is set to false. So I'm going to compile that real quick, and first I'm going to cancel that out. So instead of using this piece of script that I just canceled out, the thing I'm using is very simple. I'm doing if nearest enemy equals all enemies. I already did a piece of code here where nearest enemy is set to all enemies I if this condition is met. Distance is smaller than nearest distance. So if this is true, if nearest enemy is all enemies bracket I, then I'm going to trigger this first function is nearest enemy. But if that condition is not equal, then is not nearest enemy is going to be triggered. So if I go ahead and play, it's still not perfect, but it's better than before. So I'll have the nearest one walk to me, and there's going to be like one, maybe two that keeps on like jittering. So if I destroy the nearest one, then the next one's going to come to me, which is pretty. It looks like it's a little bit closer to what I wanted. But yeah, that's all I wanted to do for this video. This is just a refinement of my previous video. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and please stay tuned for more videos.